Everybody, JC here, and for today's video I wanted to give you guys a little bit closer look at the new Arcade1up Marvel vs. Capcom 2 machine that came out here just a few weeks ago. Last week I did an unboxing video and gave you kind of a brief overview of it. So today I just wanted to share a few more or give you a little more in-depth look at it. Now, one thing to note, I am kind of calling this a review, but only loosely, and the fact that I'm not reviewing this from the standpoint of being a hardcore gamer, which I'm not. I usually, I buy these as display pieces as much as anything. I think they look great here in my man cave. I call this the action figure arcade. So I certainly play them. They're great for getting up and just, when you need to get away from the computer and just go over and play for a little bit. But at the same time, I don't usually spend hours on end playing these games either. So definitely more of a casual gamer, and that's how I will definitely be looking at this machine as I share my thoughts on it. But let's head on back there and take a closer look. Okay, so let's start off talking about the things I like about the cabinet. Now, some of this stuff I talked about when I did my unboxing video the other week, so I'm going to go over, just probably repeat some of the stuff I said there. But this does use their newer Legacy cabinet. It's a little bit taller than their older cabinets. You can see the Legacy Street Fighter cabinet, the Yoga Flame Edition, next to the Marvel vs. Capcom. So they're the exact same style of cabinet. You get the slanted game deck, which I like. You get the BOE monitor. You get the newer type of lighting they use on the marquee, which is much more even than like you can see here with the X-Men one. So they've definitely made some improvements in regards to just their cabinets in general. Now you can see I've added my own lights to the coin doors, which I've done with all of these. Thanks to Retro 530. They provide lighting kits that you can easily install into these machines. I will say that is something I feel like Arcade1up should be doing themselves. But if you want to add the lights to your arcade coin doors, it's not terribly difficult. Now, as far as the game deck goes, so first of all, this game deck measures about 19, just a little bit over 19 and a half inches wide. So I believe it's a little bit wider than their older game decks, but it would still be a tight fit. If you had two grown men standing next to each other trying to play this game, you would still have to stand off to the side a little bit. I think if you really wanted to have actually two people playing at the same time. This is not a full-size arcade machine, so it's definitely not as good as the original arcade in regards to that. As far as the controls go, I feel like the joysticks are a little bit better quality than like on the original Marvel superhero cabinet that they did. Not that I ever had a real huge issue with those controls, but they just feel a little bit tighter. The buttons seem to be about the same, which again are not top-notch arcade quality buttons, but I feel like they do a fairly sufficient job. I've never had any real issues with them, sticking or breaking or anything like that. Now, I say that keeping in mind I'm not a hardcore gamer. I play these, I basically, when I'm working and want to get up and just play a game or something, I play them, but I don't sit here and play these hours on end. Now, as far as speaker quality goes, I've had no issues, no problem. I've heard no static on the sound or anything like that. So the speaker quality seems to be pretty good on this one. Same thing with the Street Fighter Legacy. I think it's the same speakers. So no issues there. The artwork on the riser is just the logo, the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 logo, so nothing special. They've been going pretty basic on these Legacy cabinets with the artwork on the riser. So, you definitely got cooler artwork on some of the older risers, but with this one, it's just the logo. Now, this cabinet uses a BOE monitor. They're newer monitors that they've been using, which I think look pretty good. When you look at some of the older cabinets with the older monitors, you can definitely see a difference between these BOE monitors. The colors are crisper and brighter. So, but I've had no, issues with pixelation or anything like that. Of course, I'm not sitting here trying to look at it from the sides or anything, but for me, I feel like the monitor does a pretty good job. Okay, now to go through the games: Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men Children of the Atom. So I have X-Men Children of the Atom on the Marvel Superhero cabinet, and this is the first time I've got it where you have online play option. They did offer that game on, I think, on their X-Men vs. Street Fighter cabinet, but I don't have that particular cabinet. X-Men Mutant Apocalypse and Marvel War of the Gems are console games that they threw on here. So obviously the marquee game is the one that's really unique that they have not released before in any other cabinet. And you do get like some game options, which is something they started to add with their newer games. So things like the boost or base and difficulty level, damage level, timer speed, game speed, scan lines. I've not really played with that, but you do have those added options. So now for the ugly. Arcade1up, they rolled this machine out. My guess is they wanted to get it out before the holiday shopping season began. I think they did the same thing with their NFL Blitz cabinet. And they rolled this out, and they do not yet have the online gameplay for the marquee game, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Online gameplay is available on the other games on this cabinet, but again, for the marquee game, which is something, that they promoted and publicized, the online gameplay is not available. And to make it even worse, Arcade1up has really been kind of silent on this issue, as in like not giving us any updates on when that might be available. So, you might have something up on your website apologizing for not having it ready and saying, we hope to have it up by the end of the year or early next year, or what have you, but nothing on their social media, nothing on their website. So that is definitely something that, I would definitely knock this machine for, that they rolled it out, and not even so much that they rolled it out without it being ready, but that they rolled it out and they have not been given us any communication on the status of that. Now, as far as the gameplay goes, if it doesn't bother you about the online gameplay, if that is something you really want, then I'd probably recommend that you wait on buying this cabinet until they have it ready. But, I think they will get it ready eventually. Now, whether it has bugs or not, we don't know. But eventually they will make that available. But you might, if that's like a big selling point for you probably will want to hold off until they actually have that ready for you. But as far as the gameplay goes on the game itself, I've had no real issues.
This is Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Who will survive? Engage! Your move, Unity. Unity. Hold on. Unity. Leave it to me. Psycho beam. Psycho beam. Psycho beam. Psycho beam. Your job.
so that pretty much is it. Overall, I'm pretty happy with my purchase. It's definitely a little disappointing that they don't have the online gameplay ready, nor have they given us any update on when it will be available. However, I'll say for me personally, I don't really spend a whole lot of time playing online, so that wasn't a huge holdup for me. But definitely, if that's a feature that you want, I would maybe wait until they get that rolled out and make sure they've gotten all the bugs and everything worked out of it. But otherwise, I enjoy the cabinet. I think it looks good here with my other machines. One of the things I debated, was it worth getting this when I already had the first Marvel vs. Capcom cabinet, which I've so far at least have kept. I found a different place for it, but it really probably comes down to just how much you really like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 over the first one, which I know a lot of people do. Now, again, if you're a hardcore gamer and you're looking for an exact, replica of the original game, then you might not be quite as happy with this one. But since that's not really how I look at these things, it's hard for me to really kind of judge it from that standpoint. But for me, again, I'm pretty happy with the purchase, and I think it makes a nice addition to my action figure arcade there behind me. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. If you've managed to already add this to your own collection, let me know down in the comments section below. Like the video if you're so inclined. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.
Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification to alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News message boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.